Hello and welcome to today's lecture on two-dimensional arrays in C. So far, we have explored arrays having one dimensional only. However, it is also possible in C to have arrays uh, with more than one dimension, arrays which can have one dimension, two dimension, three, and higher dimensions can be generated or can be created in C. Let us try to see, using a simple example, how two-dimensional arrays in C can be declared. Here is a simple program which we shall try to make, which shall store the roll numbers and marks of the students in a two-dimensional array. Now, for that, let us declare an array student with these dimensions. Now, from one-dimensional array, you can clearly recall that how do we declare a one-dimensional array? Now, if this was a one-dimensional array, this was how we would declare it. Now, this array student is having two dimensions, so this is how we can declare. Let us also have two integer variables, I and j. Now, let us try to enter the marks in this two-dimensional array. Right? There are two ways whereby we can enter the marks and the roll number. One was, as in one-dimensional array we discussed, initializing at the time of declaration. So we could write probably roll number and marks of the students like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. And at the time of initialization only, we are declaring these marks. The other way is, why not make our program dynamic and during the runtime try to enter the values for roll number and marks. For that, clearly, we will need a for loop whereby I is less than equal to 3, and we will increment this variable I and try to print these values of the fine. Now let us say we say enter the roll number and marks of the students. Okay. Using the scanf function, as we always do in case of entering values in a normal variable, which is a normal maybe integer variable or a one-dimensional array. This is how we are going to do it in case of the two-dimensional array as well. Okay. What we are trying to now do is see, we are trying to enter the value at the address of student of I. The second dimension remains 0, and we are trying to now enter the value in student array ith row and first column. This is what we are trying to now do. Let us try to now print these values as well. As there are two statements following the for loop, we will have to put them in the bracket. Now, for I is equal to 0 again, I is less than equal to 3, incrementing the variable again. Let us try to now output the value of these variables. In the first for loop, we have tried to enter the values, and in the next for loop, we are trying to now print out those values that we have entered. Fine. Again, same, we are trying to print the values of the ith row, 0th column, and we are trying to print out the value of ith row and first column. Okay. Let us try to run this program. Once we try to run this program, what is the output that we are expecting? What is the output that we are expecting? See, a 2D array, what will it look like? A 2D array is going to look like this. It is going to look like this. This is how a two-dimensional array is going to look like. It is going to look like a matrix, basically, which is having 2 rows and 2 columns, maybe 3 rows, 3 columns, 3 rows, 2 columns, basically depending on the dimensions that we have given. Now for the student array that we had given, we had 4 rows to it and we had 2 columns to it. Okay, this was what our array was. The student array was. This is how we had defined our array. Student, 4 rows and 2 columns. Now, because the array has 2 dimensions, it has a row dimension and it has a column dimension to it. Fine. It had only 2 columns. Now, the first column, as usual, is going to be having the index 0, and the second column is going to have an index of 1. So these are the 2 columns, and these are going to be the rows. The 0th row, the first row basically having the 0 index as 0, the second row having the index of 1, the third row having an index of 2, and the fourth row having an index of 3. This is how. So this is how. Okay. This is a 2-dimensional array student that we were trying to declare. Whatever values we were trying to enter would go in. Now this is defined as 0th row, 0th column. Basically, this column can be written as student of 0th row, 0th column. The second one could be written as student of 0th row and first column, student 0th row and second first and 0th column, student first row, and this. Now we can have the index 2 for row, but we are going to have only 2 indices for column, that is 0 and 1, 0 and 1. So this is what. Okay. Now, as we can see, the column is going to have only 2 values, 0 and 1, 0 and 1, 0. So all the columns are going to have values of 0 and 1, 0 and 1, 0 and 1. And the rows are going to shift. Row will be 0, 1, 2, 3. Why? Because this is the dimension that we are looking at. Fine. This is the dimension that we are looking at basically. So this is how. we will declare the array. This is how we will enter the values in the array, and this is how we are going to print out the values from the array. Now, let us try to look at how can we enter the values in an array where we are supposed to change both the dimensions. Okay, let us try to see here where we have this student array, again the same array. This time, however, we are trying